Welcome to The Why. In our podcast, The Why, we're going to cover topics that are important to SAP customers and to our team. We want you to share this information internally. We want you to share this information outside of SAP Ariba. And we want you to be able to connect with other thought leaders in our business.
This week, we are at SAP Ariba Live, which is the place to be to learn about B2B commerce. This week, we have companies at Ariba Live talking about the digital transformation journey that they're on. Joining me today for our podcast is Julie Gerdman, the leader of the digital transformation organization at SAP Ariba, and Alexandra Lopez, the CPO from Cisco. Alexandra, Julie, thank you for joining me today on The Why.
Thanks so much, John. So excited to be here. This is Julie, and we are very thrilled to have Alexandra Lopez, the Chief Procurement Officer of Cisco, joining us to talk about procurement with purpose. So at SAP Ariba, we're passionate about procurement with purpose. Companies can do well by doing good in the world. What are your thoughts on this, Alexandra?
I completely agree, and in all honesty, the business with purpose is one of the core values from Ariba that we share greatly at Cisco, and was part of why we felt so good about this partnership going forward as an organization. I think we have a substantial amount of buying power in the market and always have the problem of way too many suppliers, as all procurement groups do, right? And so with that problem in hand, there's no reason that you can't make sure that those you are choosing are those who are doing well for the world. Right? And we're very passionate about making sure our suppliers are ethical, care about the community, care about diversity, care about sustainability in order to do business with us going forward.
That's fantastic. I know that Cisco has a very impressive approach to supplier diversity. Can you share the details of your program with our audience?
Sure, and thank you. So it started a few years ago where we decided to take a look holistically across the company and architect an end-to-end supplier diversity strategy that encompassed indirect procurement, supply chain, and sales, and then had a direct linkage into our inclusion and diversity function within HR. And we designed a program that would really impact the whole company, and then each organization executes against their own. We have CEO buy-in with the CEO statement of his commitment to the program. And then within indirect procurement, we have a very robust program that includes, we just a year ago launched a supplier diversity sponsorship program where we took our top 38 diverse suppliers and assigned senior executives to sponsor them for a year and help them navigate the company, help them grow their business, and also bring them to matchmaking events where we introduce them to other companies so that we're not too revenue reliant on them. And then finally, because we want to go beyond just a standard definition of supplier diversity, we've also challenged all of our suppliers, regardless of their ownership, to report to us on the diversity of the workforce they bring to Cisco. And we're challenging all suppliers to say your diversity efforts for your workforce must match ours to continue winning business with us.
Wow.
That's very impressive. That's fantastic.
It is. That's a true best practice. I also like the supplier matchmaking strategy, John. We'll have to pick that one up.
Yeah, exactly.
Great.
Borrow from the best.
So I heard you mention inclusion, and SAP is focusing more and more on inclusion in our diversity strategy. And I understand Cisco is as well. What is the multiplier effect pledge that you have, and why is it important to Cisco?
Yeah, the multiplier effect is something we've been really passionate about for a few years now, and it's really all about mentorship and helping people along. So I think there are statistics that say that people with sponsors have a 23% more likely ability to move up in their career than those who don't. And so the challenge is we're trying to, and it's not just Cisco, we're just participating, we're trying to get as many companies as possible to sponsor 1 million people for a year's time. And the goal is to choose somebody who's diverse, and it could be at any stage of their career. It could be somebody who's still in school, right? It could be somebody who's in the workplace, it could be somebody who's senior, and help them with whatever you can to help them get one level higher.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic. I like the thought of choosing someone who's different from yourself to help propel your career.
Exactly, and it can be, some people have chosen children of their friends, right? It can be very personal, or it can be somebody who comes into the workplace.
Wow. I love it. We've got to take that up at SAP. So, how do you make hiring decisions? So, how do you intentionally make decisions, either hiring or leadership, that show your personal commitment to diversity on your team?
Yes, I think first of all, we're just conscious about it. We look on a regular basis, on a quarterly basis, we look at all of our HR statistics, including diversity. We don't set quotas for hiring, but we make sure that when we're hiring, the panel of candidates is diverse, and equally important, those who are interviewing those candidates are diverse, so that when they come into the process, they're not just seeing your classic slate of same faces looking at them. Try to create an organization that really embraces inclusion and diversity. And for us, diversity is about ethnicity, gender, it's also about experiences, it's about a whole range of things beyond just a strict definition, so that we have a truly balanced team. I definitely look on a regular basis at my org chart and my team's org chart to say, how are we doing? And if we're not doing well in a certain area, why? And try to do something better to attract the right candidates. Again, not by setting a quota, but at least by being intentional about it.
Yeah, that concept of filling the candidate slate with diverse candidates, I think is so important. We try to do more and more of that. And I think as both technology companies, we know that technology is an area where we can continue to drive greater diversity. So in your personal commitment, I know that you are very involved in the YWCA of Silicon Valley, which serves underserved women in your community. Could you explain, why is that important to you? Why are you working with them, and what is the goal there?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm very passionate about helping underserved women and children. And there are many, many good organizations. I selected YWCA, but there are so many out there. I think for me it started when I became a mother. And I have a son, I don't have a daughter. But I'm very aware of his friends and seeing the girls grow up and seeing some of the stereotypes they're put into early in life. And depending on what family they were born into, they have very different expectations, right? And I was very fortunate to be raised by parents who told me I could do anything I wanted when I grew up, and I believed them. I believed I had no barriers. But I realized as I got older, not everybody was so fortunate. And so with the YWCA, we're equally focused on helping women who are victims of domestic violence and sexual assault, but also trying to prevent it in the first place through education and through tech girls, and helping girls stay on track with the technology education track and get a career and be empowered.
That's phenomenal. So this last question is unprepared, but I think will be well received. It's been shared with me that you have a position on introverts versus extroverts in leadership. And I happen to be very gregarious, like an extrovert, but I understand that you consider yourself an introvert.
Yep.
And if you could maybe share with our audience a little bit about what that means, and how being an introvert but yet running a huge procurement organization, how you balance that.
Yeah, so I think I get asked a lot, I've always been asked a lot about women and the position of women and how to coach women. And one of the primary coachings that you always hear for women is speak up more. Speak up and have a voice and be aggressive like a man. And as I listen to that, I think I'm not 100% sure that that's gender versus introvert versus extrovert. And I'm an extreme natural introvert who's learned extroverted behavior to be successful in my career. Again, that started as a child. I grew up as an expat, and my parents entertained all the time. And people would come over to the house every week, and my father would make me walk straight up to them, look them in the eye, and shake their hand. And felt like death. It was horrifying for me, but I learned to do that. And you know what? It's still a little horrifying for me. It's still a little terrifying for me to meet brand new people or walk into a party when I don't know anybody. But I had to learn that behavior. And so to a certain extent, I like to help coach introverts to overcome it a little bit, but I also get really kind of, I'll say, passionate about telling extroverts, maybe try listening. Maybe try asking questions more of people and draw them out if you see somebody not participating. And one of the things I'm most excited about is as we digitize, I think that's one of the great equalizers, and everybody is getting a voice who before might not have been listened to due to bias or maybe just through being an introvert. and now can digitally get their message out there.
Wow.
Fantastic. Alexandra, Julie, first off, thank you for sharing your stories. Thank you for sharing some great advice and some great recommendations for people to consider and for businesses to consider. So it's a pleasure to have you join us today on The Why. Have a great conference at SAP Ariba Live. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Our podcast, The Why, is put together by the People First team. We'll be producing The Why on a regular basis. If you have recommendations for topics, please contact the People First team. And please share this podcast with other members of our team or even outside our team. Thank you for listening to The Why.